What is up, Bills fans? What's going on? Welcome to Monday. It's a Monday after week 9. Got to get my collar all set. Just finished a little bit of a warm-up workout before we go to jiu-jitsu class here in a little bit. A lot of big games yesterday. A lot on the line. Pretty good for getting something mid-year. A lot of teams with good records going against each other and kind of thinning out how it's going to play out in the end. But I'm not going to talk about any of the other big games. I'm going to talk about Buffalo. Now, I've been a Buffalo fan since 1992. I was new to the area. And the kids who lived in the area introduced me to how to play football. I was probably 8, 9 maybe. So the kids from the area introduced me how to play. And then at the time Buffalo was playing Washington Redskins in the Super Bowl, they said root for Buffalo. I've rooted for Buffalo ever since. I realized a long time ago Buffalo is a team that is always going to let you down, which is why I call this podcast or show or whatever you want to call it Eternally Disappointed. They did it with Doug Flutie in the 90s. They did it with draft picks. They did it with coach hirings like Rex Ryan. And man, I'm super sweaty because it's hot in my garage and I just finished a warm-up workout before we had a jiu-jitsu class. But I noticed a trend in Josh Allen's kind of progression as a quarterback that early on he seemed to make a lot of mistakes, and I looked at it as something that over the course of time he'll do less of. And as the seasons have gone on, his mistakes haven't gotten better. I've seen them make mistakes strategically in games. And I thought, well, coach is getting used to his footing, the team's not used to winning. And they still rear their ugly heads. And last night was a prime example of finally a lot of Buffalo fans realizing that I realized a long time ago, something that I realized a long time ago is that they're not as good as people think. And before this season started, I called a lot of shit telling people that they're probably not going to make the playoffs. Miami's going to win the division, but I think there will be 3 other teams in the AFC that will take a wild card spot. I don't think anybody in the NFC North or the AFC North loses to Buffalo. Maybe the Browns. Baltimore kicks their ass, even though traditionally Buffalo plays Baltimore tough. Pittsburgh probably wins, and Cincinnati kicked their ass last night. It was only a 6-point game, but it was a straight up ass beating. Eric Mangini made a pretty good point that he thinks Sean McDermott calling the defensive plays takes away from his ability to see what's going on during the week, during practice with the offense. And that could be why in a game like last night, Buffalo has 16 rushes and Josh Allen had 8 of them, which means between James Cook and Latavius Murray, you get 8 rushes total. So I don't want to hear shit on ESPN about how, these guys, Buffalo can't run the ball. It's all on Josh Allen. Bullshit. They can run the ball. They just don't. There's a fucking difference between being incapable of running and just not doing it. And then this idiot Mike Greenberg is like, do you think they at least talked about getting Derrick Henry? It wouldn't have fucking mattered. They could have Derrick Henry and they're still not going to run the ball because they're a poorly coached team. The reason Cincinnati matches up so well is because Cincinnati can match up with them talent-wise. The teams who will lose to Buffalo are the teams who can't match up talent-wise and are not well coached. The teams who are well coached and may lack a little bit of talent can win games against Buffalo. Teams that are very talented can win games against Buffalo. Because Buffalo is talented, but they're poorly coached. And you could see it every week. It's where the problems stem from. So I don't think Josh Allen is the problem. It's Sean McDermott. It's Ken Dorsey. But the realization has to set in for Buffalo fans that they're not going to make the playoffs this year. And what an overwhelming thought that is to people. For the last few seasons, getting used to having a team that's a perennial division winner, top of the AFC, and this year they're not going to win the division. Because in the next 8 games, okay, you could take a look at 3 games that are considered winnable. Denver, who just beat the Chiefs, the Jets at home, and the Patriots at home. Out of the 3 of those games, Buffalo will lose one. I don't know which one, but Buffalo will end up losing one of those games. Then it comes down to you have 5 games that are pretty much all going to be losses. They're not beating the Chiefs. They're not beating, as much as I hate to say it, they're not beating the Cowboys, even though they should. They're most certainly not beating the Dolphins in Miami. And even if Buffalo was a superior, talented team, they're so poorly coached that they're going to go out and party on Friday night and probably Saturday night and be too hungover for the game on Sunday. That actually might be a Saturday game. That might be Saturday the 23rd, to be honest. So they may have something going for them there. The Chargers are a team that they should win against. And as much as I think the Chargers are overrated, I think the Chargers pull it out. I think they have a game against the Eagles. And the Eagles are gonna walk through them. Actually, the Eagles are gonna play bad and win, because that just seems to be the MO for the Eagles. So Buffalo fans need to be prepared for this team to finish 7-10 or 8-9. They're a bad team. They don't run the ball, even though they have the talent to run the ball. They signed a running back to the fucking practice squad, and they don't run the ball. And I don't want to hear shit about injuries. 1, every team is injured, and 2, it's not our offense. The defense is injured. The defense held Bird to 24 points. And at one point, playing with a guy whose best season was in 2014 and another guy who was on the Packers a week ago. So I don't see how the defense is to blame for the loss yesterday. The loss is purely on coaching, and I'm going to get to just one little detail that I think matters. I'm watching the end of the Eagles-Cowboys game, and I hate when games do this, but it's part of how it goes, where everyone talks about how great Dallas looked in the fourth quarter, but the Eagles had a big enough lead that they were kind of limited to what they could do to try to salvage the lead. So Dallas doesn't get it on 4th and goal. They're stopped at about the half a foot mark. Well, Philly's going to run 3 plays pretty much out of their end zone just to make enough room for the punter to have room and kick. Then by the time they get the ball back, they're just trying to run the clock out. So I look at a team like, back to that point, looking at statistics, it doesn't tell you the story of actually what happened. And actually what happened was Philly was just playing the clock. If there was more time or they were in different field position, things would have been different. It felt like last night Buffalo was consistently backed up within their own 20. And I'll say to this point, and this is the difference between well-coached teams and just whatever. There's no need for you to take a fucking kickoff anywhere within 5 yards of the end zone and run it out. And I can't tell you how many times this year I've seen somebody, either on Tennessee or Buffalo, take a fucking kickoff at the goal line and get stuck at the 12. Like, just fair catch that shit and take it from the 25. Tyler Bass can kick a field goal if we get to the 40-yard line of the opponent. So all we need is 35 yards and we're within field goal range. Why the fuck are you taking a kick from the fucking goal line and getting stuck at the 12-yard line? Because then you shrink your playbook to try to get anything, and even with 1 or 2 first downs, you don't get a strategic field advantage in the sense of where they're starting their field position. So you're going to fucking sit there and consistently put us behind the 8 ball because Sean McDermott isn't smart enough to tell his fucking special teams coach, to tell the fucking special teams players, quit taking the ball out of the fucking end zone. You're either going to fumble it or you're going to get tackled before the fucking 25. Just take the ball to 25. And you only have to go 35 yards and you're within field goal range. And maybe we should run the ball more than fucking 8 times a game. Because the 8 runs that Josh Allen has are not designed runs unless it's a fucking quarterback sneak. Josh Allen should not be the leading rusher on the team. But he is, because the offensive coordinator is a quarterback who can only think throw, throw, throw. Josh Allen is not the quarterback that's going to take this fucking team on his shoulders and go win games. He's not that guy. You know who he's going to win the game for? The other team, when he throws it into cover 2, double fucking coverage. And he underthrows it to Gabe Davis and it's intercepted. Or he stares down Diggs and he throws it right to the defender. Because Josh Allen isn't a top fucking 5 quarterback. And the only reason people think he is because of idiots on fucking ESPN and fucking Fox Sports that are paid to say this guy is worth a shit. Josh Allen is not a top 10 quarterback. Sean McDermott is not a top 10 coach. And Buffalo is not a fucking playoff team. And if last night didn't get it through your head, then either losing to Denver, the Jets at home, or the fucking Patriots at home might start to break through. The team isn't good. And it's about fucking time that the ownership make changes or just start it over. Because they're not going to get better. They're not going anywhere this year. And next year is going to be a wash because we're in fucking salary cap hell. Because they overpaid the quarterback. They overpaid Von Miller, who hasn't shown up yet. And the other guys that get money are fucking injured. That's why this team isn't any good. Because they have idiots in charge making idiotic decisions. And the fucking morons who are Bills fans will make any excuse without realizing that this team is not going anywhere. I don't even know where I got started to go off on that, but God, this team fucking pisses me off. Every fucking game, it's drive-killing penalties. It's bad decisions. It's, hey, we're just going to line up in trips right from the gun and hand the ball off once every 9 plays. That's not how you fucking win. How many pressures did we have last night on Joe Burrow? How many sacks did we have last night on Joe Burrow? No matter what they did, this team was ready for it. You know why? Because they're better. They're more talented and they're better coached. You're not going to beat that. So I don't know what Buffalo fans expect out of the rest of the season. I expect 3 victories and 5 losses. But we'll see what happens. This is how I feel about Buffalo for the last 31 years. And maybe now people understand why I'm eternally disappointed. Stay tuned, motherfuckers. There's more to come. Until then, stay frosty.